We're back, lesson 47, page 116, 117. Before we do this, let's think back to page 107, lesson 43, where we talked about our swung eighth notes, and it was long, short, long, short, long, short, long, short. And you're going to play this song on 116, Why Am I Blue, with that same long short pattern. So instead of playing it straight at the very first measure, that's straight. But to play it with the long short, the swung eighth notes, just gives it a little more feel. And the thing that they're teaching you on page 116 is a syncopated note. Notes played between the main beats of the measure and held across the beat are called syncopated. It is syncopated, but another way to think of this is an anticipation. If you look at the first measure, you have B, D, B, G. And that fourth eighth note, the G, is tied to the half note G. So you have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. That G anticipates, the eighth note G anticipates the half note G. And it's syncopated because it comes before the beat. So 1 and 2 and 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. A good way to practice this is to say the long short pattern as do for the long, va for the short. So you go, instead of saying da 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 da, you're breaking that eighth note or the quarter note directly in half for eighth notes. Those are called straight eighth notes. The swung eighth notes are the long short pattern. Do va 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 do va. So you have straight, da 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 da, swung, do va do va do va do va do. Your time does not speed up or slow down. You play the same speed. All right, I've been doing a lot of talking. Go ahead and pause it and take a look at the music, practice it. You have a repeat sign, but I believe this is the first time that we've seen first and second endings. So if you look above the measure directly in front of the first repeat, or the only repeat sign, it says play first time only, and there's that bracket above it with a 1. And over the very last measure, there's a bracket with a 2, and it says play second time. So that tells you play everything all the way down to that repeat sign. Go back to the top, play everything all the way down. On that last line, you're going to do the first measure, the second measure, skip the third measure because that was only to be played the first time, and go right to the very last measure or the fourth measure. All right, pause it, practice. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you have the anticipation or the syncopation in measure 1, 5, 9, 10, and 13, the very last measure. So let's look at just that bottom line, the last line. And I'm going to go from the last line, I'm going to take the second ending. I'm not doing the first ending and a repeat. I'm just starting at the bottom line and doing measure 1 and 2 of the bottom line, skipping measure 3, go to measure 4. Second ending. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the two syncopations, you have 1 and 2 and 3, and that A comes an eighth note early. And then you have a whole note, 1 and 2 and 3, 4. So your left hand, if you look at that, it's a half note. Your right hand starts an eighth note early. So you have 1 and 2 and 3, 4. 1, 2. So that's important to make sure. The first ending, you have the D7 or the 5-7 chord as a half note. Rest on beats 3 and 4. Make sure you are not playing left hand notes there. Same thing in measure 4. Measure 8. You have 4 and 8. You have a quarter note on beat 1 chord and 3 beats of rest. So make sure you aren't holding through that. You have, it's the same in measure 4 and 8, but you don't want to do, because that's not what's written. That's not what's written. Your left hand has to rest. All right, that's it for that one. Look at 117, the G blues scale performance piece. Call and response is a special technique used in jazz and rock to create more excitement. Measure 9 sounds the call. Measure 10 gives the response. Measures 11 and 12 and 13 and 14 are used in the same manner. You may improvise different blues scale tones in the response measures. So, the G blues scale, well, first off, let's talk about the G major scale that we dealt with in the previous lesson, lesson 46. On page 112, you can see the G blues scale, no, the G major scale. From G, whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. So that's the major scale, but we're dealing with the blues scale on 117. And the blues scale is, it uses notes that are slightly different from the major scale. But the theory of it is the same for any key you're in. So remember that all these scale steps have numbers associated with them. This is the first scale step, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, or 1 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. Either way is fine. So the G blues scale is 1, flat 3. Remember, flat's lower a note. 4, sharp 4, 5, flat 7, 1. If you look at measure 1 of the song Good People on page 117, the notes are G, F natural, D, D flat, C, B flat, G. That is 1, flat 7, 5, flat 5, or sharp 4, 4, flat 3, 1. 1, flat 3, 4, sharp 4, or flat 5, 5, flat 7, 1. Now remember enharmonics, E-N-H-A-R-M-O-N-I-C-S, enharmonics, is writing a note in a different way that sounds the same. So you can write this as a C sharp or a D flat. It's the same note, and that's why they can call it a sharp 4 if it was C sharp, or a flat 5 if it was D flat. Now in this example, the music is going down. So a common thing that was used a long time ago was to write it in a way that used the least amount of ink. So had they written G, F natural, D, C sharp, C natural, B flat, G, that would have required an extra accidental, because where they have the D flat, if that was a C sharp, that would require one accidental. But the following note being a C, had they written C sharp the note before, they would have had to write a natural sign in front of that C. So by writing D, D flat, C, there's only one accidental used in that short little example. Whereas to writing D, C sharp, C natural would have required two accidentals. So it's the same note spelt different. 1, flat 3, 4, sharp 4 or flat 5, 5, flat 7, 1. That's the blues scale. Alright, so this song that's not the right rhythm, but those are the notes. This song is using that scale, and we want to use long, short, long, short, long, short, the swung eighth notes, because instead, if you didn't, that's okay, but that has a little more feel to it. So, this song has measures 7 and 8. There is a repeat sign just for those two measures. And in the box, it says, last time only. Repeat 3 times, getting slower and softer each time. So, the first time you play this through, there is no repeat. When you come back, because you have DC al fine, D capo al fine. So you go back to the beginning, play till fine. Well, there's fine in measure 8. So that means you play line 1, line 2, line 3, line 4, line 1, line 2, repeat 7 and 8 3 times, getting softer each time. Alright, practice it, and I will play it. 1, 2, 3, 4. that's 117. If you've got any questions, let me know. Take a look at the pages. Here we've got 116 and 117. Thank you.